Hey you guys, sorry this has taken so long to get a labor and delivery story posted. We've been just a little bit busy with the baby and back to school. The big kids started school yesterday and it's just been chaos. And I really did record this twice, once on my phone and once on my other camera, and they just, yeah, they were so scatterbrained. And then the one on my phone lost sound. So I was like, just to heck with it, I'm just gonna re-record it again. So here we go for the third try. I'm gonna tell y'all how Taylor's labor and delivery went. And I'll be looking away because I'm looking at the computer because I typed up notes, so hopefully this one is less scatterbrained than the others. But so on Thursday, August the 15th, I started having noticeable contractions that evening. We had gone out of town to pick up McKenna and Colton from their dad. And on the way home in the car, I started having contractions, and I was just blaming it, you know, on the car ride, which I'm sure that's probably what kind of instigated them a little bit. But if you've been watching me long, then you know that I was really just praying to not go into labor until the big kids made it home, because I really wanted them here when the baby was born. So anyway, the contractions were noticeable, but they were super far apart, and I knew they weren't Braxton Hicks because they were pretty painful. And the pain, the intensity of it was really like low in my cervix. They weren't so painful that like I thought I was dying or anything, but I mean, they were noticeable. So anyway, we got home that night, had dinner, we sat down to watch a movie as a family and everything, and I sat on the birth ball, and I continued to have painful contractions, but they were really far apart, like 17 minutes. So in my mind, I was thinking that it was prodromal labor. I had that happen with Hudson, that it lasted like 4 days. So I took a shower and went to bed, and the contractions continued through the night, which didn't shock me because, like I said, I thought I was having just prodromal labor. And I would guess that I had like 3 or 4 an hour. I didn't time them throughout the night, but they did wake me up throughout the night. I slept between them, but they were strong enough and painful enough that they did wake me up. So on August the 16th, Friday, I got up that morning like on a mission to get stuff done, because I knew that if I was having this prodromal labor, that the baby would be here within a few days. So I made a video that morning saying, oh, I'm gonna have a baby in the next few days. And little did I know. So anyway, I went and ran well, first thing in the morning, I called my midwife and the doula and let the photographer know. I let everybody know how I was feeling, so that if I went into labor, it wasn't any huge shock. You know, it was the weekend, so I wanted them to know what was going on. And then I went all over town running errands. We had to buy new school shoes for Colton. All of the kids needed haircuts. I had to get McKenna's saxophone into the shop for band. So yeah, like we went all over the place. The last place we needed to go was the grocery store, and my contractions had started picking up, and they were about every 10 minutes ish, because they were still kind of all over the place. They never got consistent. So anyway, I didn't feel like going to the grocery store, so I went on home and got the kids fed some lunch, and Micah came home for lunch. Let me scroll down a little bit, sorry. Also that morning, before we ran the errands, I like cleaned the house, and I was really mad at myself because I didn't get the floor mopped yet, but I had gotten laundry moved over and all that good stuff. So anyway, I got home, had lunch, still had contractions, but they were like really irregular. Like they would be 17 minutes apart, then 8, then 12, then 4, then 5, then 15, then 10. Like they were just not consistent at all. So I still thought that I was having prodromal labor. But after I ate lunch, I did lose some mucus plug. So I went ahead and called my midwife and let the doula and the photographer know. And my midwife was like, you know, how about I just come over and just check you? And, you know, just to see where you're at. And so she came over. This was probably shortly after 1. I'm guessing between 1 and 1:30. I'm really not sure on time past this part, but she came over and checked me, and she said I was 1.5, maybe 2. So I was like, ugh, like I felt dumb for even saying, yeah, why don't you come over and check me? Felt really stupid. And I mean, I knew that I was having labor symptoms, but I was like, great, this is pre-labor, and this is really sucky pre-labor stuff. I started, this is really bad, you shouldn't do this, but I did it. I started doing the labor math in my head, like, okay, if I'm only 1 to 2 centimeters now, then I still have 8 or 9 centimeters to go, and it's 1:30 in the afternoon. So I'm not gonna have a baby till late tonight, and I'm feeling pretty crappy. So I didn't say that or anything to my midwife, that's just what I was thinking, but she checked me and she said, okay, I have an appointment for a client that's coming from out of town, so I'm gonna go to that and then I'm gonna come back. But while I'm gone, I want you to take a nap. So I don't know if she could really tell that I was in labor, or if she just knew that things were starting to pick up and she knew that she was gonna have to keep a close eye on me. But my midwife actually called the doula and the photographer. They were actually together, and she let them know that I was gonna take a nap to just hold off on coming over to my house. So anyway, they all left, and I laid down to take a nap, and well, I did a couple more chores around the house. And then I tried to lay down and take a nap. Micah put the little boys down for a nap, Connor and Hudson. And I just couldn't go to sleep. Like, I would lay down for a few minutes. I wasn't timing contractions because at that point I didn't see the point in it, because I was only 1 or 2 centimeters. So what was the point? But I would have contractions, and then every time I'd have a contraction, I'd have to go pee, which that should have clued me in, because that's what happened when I was in labor with Hudson. But I didn't think about it because my contractions had been so all over the place, and because I was hardly dilated any just a few minutes ago. But things picked up really, really quickly, and I kept having those contractions. And when the midwife had checked me, she said the baby still feels kind of high and kind of posterior. So I was like, great. I had texted my friend Megan to tell her, and she was like, hands and knees, get on your hands and knees. So I was laying there taking the nap, and then I'd have to go to the bathroom, and I'd come back and have a contraction, and I'd get on my hands and knees, and then I'd go pee, and it was just back and forth for a little while. And then Micah took the older kids to go return a movie really quick at the Red Box. And while they were gone, like, things picked up like that. I mean, it was so quick. I thought I had to go poop, and so I sat on the toilet, and I was able to go. And then I you know, went to having a couple of more contractions, and then I thought I had to go again. And when I was trying to go, I had this green water explosion. And I stood up, and I like had to stare into the toilet for a couple of minutes, probably through a couple of contractions, because I was like, okay, this is TMI, I'm sorry, but I was like, do I have diarrhea, or did my water just break? And I like tried to kind of press on my belly during a contraction and see if any more water would come out, and nothing did. And so I was like, okay, maybe that wasn't my water. So I got up, cleaned myself up again, and walked into the other part of my bathroom, and I had another contraction, and another gush of water came out. No, it wasn't like an explosion like the first time, but another big gush. And I was like, okay, great. That was my water, and it was green, so there's meconium in it. Great. So I immediately called my midwife, and she could already hear in my voice that I was in full-blown labor. Like, by that point, I was making my labor noises and starting to lose it. And so I called her, called the doula, and they were like, we're coming right now. And I texted my friend Megan, and my text, I had to go back and look on my phone, but at 2:58, I texted her saying, water broke meconium, and that's all I put. She texted me back, like, reassuring me, you know, it's okay, that's normal, or it can be normal, and which I totally knew that. I was trying to keep her in the loop, but she called me to check on me, and I couldn't even answer the phone because, like, labor just hit so hard and strong, I couldn't even answer the phone. Micah and the older kids had gotten back like right after my water broke, and I was like, my water broke, start filling up the pool. And within minutes of me having him start filling up the birth pool, like airing it up and getting it full of water, I was yelling. I was in the toilet part of my bathroom, and I had been trying to apply pressure to my own back while I was waiting for the doula to get there. And that had worked a little bit, but then it just got so intense that it wasn't working anymore. And I remember like banging on the wall with my fist and just you know, doing the labor groans and the roaring and just making noise, because at that point, doing like an open jaw, like loud yelling basically, groaning was the only thing that was helping me with the pain at that point. Just like keeping my jaw open and just making noise. So anyway, within a few minutes of me telling Micah to fill up the birth pool, I was like, I don't think we have time, start filling up the bathtub. So he turns on the water to the bathtub and then goes back to filling up the birth pool. I think he was pretty terrified, because I was like, the baby's coming now, I feel like I have to push. And he didn't know what to do with himself. And he knew that people were on their way. So he wasn't just gonna like leave me by myself. And had the baby started coming out, of course he would have like helped me, but he was scared to death. And I was back in the toilet area of our bathroom, and I was having the urge to bear down. And so I was doing it, I couldn't control it. I was starting to bear down, and I really thought I was gonna have a baby sitting on the toilet without anybody there. And I was just praying, please God, don't let me have this baby before somebody gets here, because Micah will never forgive me. Because he just does not do blood and like stuff that makes you squeamish. Like he just can't do it. And so anyway, I went and checked on the bathtub, and he didn't put the plug down in it, so just water was running. So I put the plug in and adjusted the water a little bit, and I was like, man, things are moving way too fast. So I got down on all fours in my bathroom floor and like tried to put my shoulders down to the floor with my butt in the air, trying to like get the baby off of my cervix a little bit to see if that would slow things down. And my body pretty much just screamed at me like, no way, this baby's coming out, get up off the floor. So that didn't work for me in this situation. It hurt worse. So I got up and I took off my underwear, and I was wearing like a small sundress that I usually wear as a cover up for a bathing suit, thinking I was gonna labor in it. And anyway, so I pulled that off real fast, and just as I was stepping into the birth pool, that's when the midwife walked in. And I was like, I'm sorry, Carol, I'm getting in now. I couldn't wait, like I have to get in now. And she was like, no, go right ahead. And she was talking in her calm voice, and somewhere in there, the doula and the photographer got there, and my sister-in-law and mother-in-law got there as well. The big kids were on like the kids' side of the house, and of course the little boys were asleep. And man, I was losing it in the bathtub. So really from here, what you see on my labor and delivery on the birth video is really how it all happened. My doula came in and pretty much kind of got in my face and was like, we are gonna do this together. We're gonna calm down, we're gonna relax. And she just totally got me refocused, and the water felt amazing, and listening to her and breathing and allowing myself to relax helped immensely, because I think I had allowed myself to get into a huge panic because nobody was there and I was feeling the urge to bear down. So that startled me so much that I couldn't relax. But she got me to relax, and the midwife checked me at some point, and she was like, I think I feel hair. And I was like, really? I've never had a baby with hair. So anyway, a few more minutes passed. She was like, I just want you to labor down. She wanted me to labor down and let the baby start to emerge on its own, so that I wasn't forcing the baby out or anything. You know, it makes you less likely to tear, and just makes labor easier on you and on the baby. So so that's what we did, and eventually the baby started coming out, and the midwife got down there to check on me. They called Micah in because he was still messing with the birth pool. And the midwife said, oh, this baby's coming breech. You can hear her say it in the video. And I can't tell if it's me or if it's the doula that says, oh, really? I don't remember if I said that or not, and I can't distinguish the voices, but everybody just stayed absolutely calm. My mother-in-law didn't realize she was even coming out breech. Micah, I'm not sure if he did or not, but I knew, and I wasn't scared at all. I had done some research previously on breech birth because a friend that I met while I was doing my birth boot camp training, She was becoming an instructor as well. She had had a cesarean for a footling breech, and she's just this neat, awesome woman who is out on a mission to just educate people on breech birth, especially moms, because once you know, she wants people to know what you can do, what your options are when that happens. And so I had done some research just on her website thinking that I would be using it for clients, and instead it actually ended up really comforting me when I was told, okay, your baby's coming breech. Total surprise, we had no idea. When the midwife had checked me earlier and thought she felt tear, it was, keep in mind she's wearing rubber gloves, she was feeling poop basically, which we knew that I had meconium in my water, and that is a sign of a breech baby. But every time she had checked, well, I will do a whole separate video on how and when and why we think the baby turned, and how, you know, basically why we were surprised by it. But anyway, so it wasn't hair she was feeling, it was poop. But I wasn't scared. I was too relaxed to feel scared about it, and we just eased the baby out. And my midwife, or my doula, just kind of coached me through it. You know, she told me I was doing a good job and helped me with my breathing. And the midwife was just saying, okay, Jesus, all right, Jesus. And she said that a few times. And when I've told this story to some of my friends, are like, that would have scared the crap out of me. But it actually made me feel a lot better. Throughout my pregnancy, like at every appointment, my midwife prayed with me. She prayed for me on a daily basis, and so we really had like a spiritual connection with each other. And it made me feel like Jesus was sitting on the edge of my bathtub, and that everything was going to be fine. And it was. I pushed her body out, and I could feel like when her legs and arms kind of flopped out, and she came butt first, and that's frank breech. And so I felt her arms and legs when they finally flopped out, and then I felt like this hard ball and had to push kind of pretty firmly. It wasn't hard to push her out, but her head, it was like physically firm and hard. And so that actually took more effort than her body probably to push out. But pushing out a breech baby was, I don't want to say it was more difficult, because it wasn't necessarily difficult, especially being in the water, but I did have to exert a little bit more effort into it, if that makes sense. With the other kids, I had to work on getting their head out, and then my body pushed their shoulders, and their bodies just kind of slid right out. Hers, I had to really push her whole body kind of out. But anyway, she came out. It did take her, you know, I don't know if it was several minutes, but it took a good little while for her to get pink. So that was scaring Micah. I'm shocked he didn't just call 911, but I knew she was okay because she was on my chest and I could hear her gurgling and breathing and whatnot. So I knew she was okay. She just had to, you know, let out a few good cries and, you know, just give her time. She was going to be fine. And we had skin-to-skin time. We got her latched on. She nursed. We all joked around. I mean, we just all enjoyed the moment. Like, it was amazing. And I was so happy that she wasn't born on the toilet without anybody being there. But yeah, that's pretty much her story and how things went. If y'all have any questions, then feel free to leave a comment. Especially if, I'm sure I'm probably leaving some things out. So if you have questions, just leave them in the comments and I'll try to make some follow-up videos on it. So I think that's it, and I'll try to get this uploaded here pretty quick. Bye, guys.